Are you surprised to see the US dollar keep ticking higher here and that it hasn't backfired on the US dollar yet?
Well, I think the important word in that question is yet. I think that sanctions, in so many ways, are a disaster, not so much for Russia, but for the U.S. and for the West in general. The dollar is strengthening, yes, because, why? I mean, well, what's the alternative? I mean, the euro is weakening. And why is the euro weakening? Well, because Europe has just, with sanctions and such, Europe has just placed its entire energy economy at risk. With the natural gas sanctions, the oil sanctions, they say, well, we'll make it up. We'll get it somewhere else. Maybe you will, and maybe you won't, but it's not going to happen fast, and it's not going to come easy. So the dollar is strengthening because the euro is weakening. The euro energy economy is precarious, and then you add all the war risk on top of that, just in terms of the whole issue with Ukraine and Russia, and how that thing could expand, over however long it takes.
But you think over the long run it will come back to haunt the US?
Absolutely. The U.S. through sanctions has weaponized the dollar. It's kind of like weaponizing air, or weaponizing, GPS, for example. Everybody wants to know where they are, but GPS it's a military system, and it's designed so that in times of war we're going to shut it down. Well, if we tell the whole world that the dollar is a weapon, and whatever happens, if we don't like you, and right now, you can say, well, we're really mad about Russia and Ukraine. This is terrible. And yes, it's terrible. I'm an old Navy guy. I hate war. But the idea that we have turned the dollar into a weapon and just gone out there and started to seize hundreds of billions of dollars worth of sovereign wealth from Russia, and then also, with the oligarchs and everything else, that we're just seizing this stuff because, well, we're mad at you and we don't like you. I mean, what does that tell people in the rest of the world, the other 7 billion people in the world who hold dollars? It's like, oh, gee,
Yeah,
if the Americans ever get mad at me, they're going to take my money.
exactly. And to that point, Byron, do you think it's interesting how, all has been done to avoid boots on the ground because, we don't want to get involved. But, what is this alternative, right? We are involved.
Mm. We are involved. When we say we don't want boots on the ground, we don't want the political cost of, our guys and our girls coming home in boxes and body bags,
Absolutely.
but the cynical way of looking at it is we're willing to fight to the last drop of Ukrainian blood. We're going to feed those missiles in there, feed that artillery in there. We're having these debates over no-fly zones and should we send them jets and all this sort of thing. And the Russians, who they're not stupid people. They're very smart people. They're looking at this saying, you put one more item in there, and we're going to blow it up. I mean, when they shoot these cruise missiles and they land like 15 miles from the Polish border, and they hit a target, what does that tell you? They have operational reach. They can reach hundreds of miles behind the front lines and hit a target with an accuracy of about a meter or two. And when they say we're hitting a target, 15 miles from the border of Poland, that means they could hit a target 15 miles inside the border of Poland too, if they wanted to. And it is so dangerous. It is so precarious what's going on. And a lot of politicians are having a great time, thumping their chests over, all sorts of, great emotional causes, because war brings out the worst of emotion in people. But the practicalities of it are that this war in Ukraine, the special military operation in Ukraine, is putting the whole world system at risk. I mean, you already know, you know this. I mean, we've put the agricultural system at risk with the wheat, the fertilizer. We put the energy system at risk, but sanctioning gas, sanctioning oil. We put the whole mineral section at risk. All the exports that Russia is critical in the world, for say nickel, palladium, copper, rare earths, the things that Russia is part of the system for.
Yeah.
I mean, we've weaponized the dollar, we've weaponized world trade, and things are going to fall apart slowly or quickly. But they're not going to get better from here without a whole lot of work and a whole lot of really deep and brilliant diplomacy going ahead.
Hmm.
So the investment lesson there is ... We'll get into that in a minute, I suppose.